All right, y'all, what's up? What's going on? This is a follow-up video to a video I made the other day. Where is it at? I'm gonna show it to you real quick on the channel. It is the this one right here, this 54 tooth chain rings. I made this video 6 days ago. It's got about 1,100 views. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. But I'm going to provide some context to this 54 tooth chain ring setup and kind of why I'm running it and how I got to that point. So one of the questions I got was an individual asked me, when I'm riding a 54, what cog am I in the back? What's the comfortable cog? And he was like, is it the 16? And my reply to that was, I don't have a 16 tooth cog on my cassette, and I don't. Now, before, when I was trying to figure out what was the best gear for me to ride in, that's when I realized the 16 wasn't working for me. And I'm gonna show you something. So the cassette I was riding before, I started off with the 105 Shimano 11 speed. I want to say it was the 1132, and then eventually I had went to the Ultre 11 speed, same thing, 1132. But if you look at this cassette, it shows you the gear range, right? So right here at the 1132, the cogs are 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. And then on the 11 speed is pretty much the same thing. If you look at the 1132, it's 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. So towards the middle cassette is like the main focus for me. I wanted to be in the right gear that lines up with one of these cogs to kind of give me like the max chain line efficiency and give me enough range going up or down the cassette. And that's kind of why I went to the 1132. So when I was riding the 1132s, the 105s and the Ultegras, like I said, the middle of the cassette is like that 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Now these are all two tooth jumps, but if you look at the jumps, they are even numbers, and for some reason for me, I don't like the even numbers. It's like they don't spin well to me. It's like I can never really get my cadence right. And then the one cog that I really didn't need was the 16. And how I figured that out was I ride the Garmin 1030 computer, and when you have the wireless unit on your electronic group set, you compare it to your Garmin, and then it'll give you like a gear display, and I'm gonna kind of show you what that looks like. So on here, this gives you your gear display, and you can set your gear display up any way you want. This is just like a default picture, just kind of showing you what some of this stuff looks like. So you got your front chain rings, and let you know if you're in the bigger chain ring or the little chain ring, and then also the cassette on the back, and lets you know what gear you're in. So right now it tells you in 4, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 down. Or if you was looking at the cassette teeth on the cog, I want to say it was like the 32, 28, 25, 23 or something like that. So when I was riding, I'm out riding and I'm riding that cassette. When I was getting into a gear that kind of like didn't feel right, I'd always look down and see, hey, what gear am I in, right? And of course it's going to tell you whether it's that 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And then once you figure out which one that is, like I said, the 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one specifically, according to the bike computer, the fourth gear is the 22 cog, right? But what I was finding out was, I was in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When I was in the 7, I wasn't using that gear. When I would get to 7, I'd either be jumping to 8 or I'd be jumping down to 6. And I did not like the 16 cog. And I figured that out from looking at the data that's presented on the bike computer and just how does it feel when I'm riding. So a lot of stuff when I'm talking about gears is it comes down to personal preference, what works for you, what feels right, and what makes you comfortable. So as stated, a lot of times I was riding, I'd be in that gear and I'm like, dang, I feel like I need to go up. I'm like, oh, that's not enough. Oh, I kind of feel like I need to go down. Oh, that's not enough. And then I'm looking at my gear display, come home, do some more research on the individual cogs, and then figure out what is the cog that's giving me problems. So what I found out the cog that was giving me problems was the 16 tooth cog. Now, when you are looking at these cassettes, it's not like you can necessarily grab the 16 and pull it out and skip over it. So I was like, man, I need to find something that's gonna, get rid of this cog, or is that even a possibility to get rid of it, right? So when I was doing some research, the #1 cassette that I've been running for friggin' forever is the 1132 cassette, and I've been getting them from AliExpress, and I'm gonna show you exactly which one it is. And it's this one right here, right? This cassette is 36 bucks. Now the reason why I got this one is because it gave me the range, the 1132, right? But then also with the 1132, if you're looking, there is no, let me go back to this thing. There is no 16 tooth cog. It goes 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25. I initially got this just because it got rid of the 16 tooth because I didn't need it. But then after I got to ride it, I realized that the odd number jumps was way better for me. Because when you go to the Shimano, this is like the 105 or the Integra, and you're looking at that 1132, as stated, the middle of the cassette, it is 2 tooth jumps, but it's even numbers, 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22. Now, when I go to this other one, if you look at the middle of the cassette, the tooths, there's still 2 tooth jumps, but they're odd numbers. I'm trying to get this thing to stop doing this. And it's 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25. That's a lot of 2 tooth jumps, and that's something that was working better for me. So when I'm riding the 54, when I'm comfortable and just spinning, I'm usually like in the 17 or the 19. And that's what's comfortable for me. And the thing I love about this cassette is whether I'm in the 17 or 19, let's say I want to go, up the cassette some more. I got 21, 23, 25. I have 3 consistent 2 tooth jumps going one way. And then if I'm going the other way, I got my 15, 13. I still got a couple more 2 tooth consistent jumps going the other way. And the thing that was really, really dope, well, my new bike with the Factor comes with the SRAM group set. I was kind of wondering how would my gear ratio work, and the middle of the cassette is the exact same. I think the only difference with the 12-speed SRAM joint, it goes 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25. I want to say it's 28 and then 33, not 32. But the middle of the cassette is the exact same as what I've been riding. So I think that's going to be really, really dope. I'm looking forward to the range on the SRAM, and then also knowing I got a 33 instead of a 32. That give me a little bit extra to spin on the top, and then on the bottom of half of it, or at the end of the spectrum, not only do I have an 11, but I also got the 10. So like the 1054 is like, I don't know, it's probably gonna be crazy, right? I'm gonna show you another website too, right? There's this website called BikeCalc, right? Now on here, you can kind of put in your parameters and get some specifics as to the gear ratios you're running, the cadence you're running, all that kind of stuff. So what I'm showing you right now, I'm comparing this, right? Because before I was riding a 53 big chain ring, but now I'm riding the 54. So I want to see the data from the 53 and the 54. The sprockets on the back of the rear cassette, the only things I'm interested in is the 15, 17, 19, 21, and 23, because that's the middle of the cassette. That's my happy space, right? Of course, I'm running a 700C tire, and then I ride 30, so I'm riding a 30 mil, and then cadence, usually I average between like 80 to 90 cadence RPM for a ride. So what I did was I wanted the full spectrum from 80 up to 110, and I wanted increments by 5, and then it spits out the data, and you can kind of look and see what's going on. So for that individual that asked me what gear am I normally riding in the 54, I'm normally riding the 17 or the 19. For the sake of this conversation, let's just stick with the 17. So if I'm rolling my 54 17 and I'm cruising at 85 cadence, I'm probably going about 21.6 miles an hour, and that sounds about right. Just thinking about the data when I'm riding. And if I was running the same gear but the 53, a 53 17 at 85 cadence, it's 21.2. So kind of almost like, I don't want to say a half mile slower, but close to it. And you can just kind of see what this information is providing. And one of the things I often get is somebody says like, man, you're not going to be able to spin out you know, a 5411, which I completely understand, but it's not so much that I'm spinning out the gears. It's more of a comfort thing. When I'm riding in the 54, let's say I'm riding in the 19 and I'm cruising, I'm doing like 95 cadence, I'm doing 21.6, you know. If I don't want to spin that high and I'm doing 85 cadence and I drop down to the 17, I'm still doing the same speed. Me personally, I just like the bigger gears. Bigger gears just work for me. If you've ever thought about changing your chainring setup, you can go to BikeCalc, put in whatever parameters you want, whatever chain rings you're running, put the specific cogs or sprockets on there, let them know your tire size, and then your desired cadence or your estimated cadence for how you run, and it's going to spit out this data. BikeCalc is a excellent tool for you to kind of figure out some of this information, or just to have an idea of what gear ratio may work for you, you know, because the only thing this doesn't have on here is power. But let's say when you get done with a ride and you're looking at your cadence or your RPMs and you notice you're averaging about 100 cadence and you're like, dang, but I'm going super slow. You may be able to tell yourself, okay, what if I went from a 50 chainring to a 53, spinning at 100, and I'm at, you know, cog 17, that's about midway through the cassette. I'm doing like 24 miles an hour. That might be a better thing for you, but you kind of got to figure out what gears work for you. And like I said, the thing that really helped me out with that was being able to be out riding, and as I'm riding, I'm feeling how the bike feels, and then being able to look down and see the specific gear that I'm in, and then be able to take that information knowing, okay, I'm doing 275 watts, you know, and let's say you had your RPM here. Let's say you do a 275 watts and I'm doing 100 RPM and I'm in gear 4. You could be able to put that data into BikeCalc and kind of have an idea of how fast you're going, or how fast would you like to go, or for you to achieve this speed, what gear ratio is going to work for me and what cadence do I need to be at. But this is how I kind of figured out some of that information. And then it's like kind of doing some of the research and then applying it to my actual ride and getting the feedback from the ride to make myself comfortable. Because like I said, a 54 may not work for everybody, but it works for me, for my riding style, for the power I make, for the RPM that I like to spin. The 54, it freaking works for me. I freaking hate climbing. I am not a spinner. I'm more of a grinder. So the grind is the life for me. But that's kind of how I came to that conclusion. And like I said, if you have no idea what your cassette is even doing, like this is right off the Shimano website. I'm pretty sure you can look on your cassette and it's going to tell you, you know, what do you have? Are you running like a 105 joint? You know, are you running an Ultre joint? And then once you have that information, then which one are you running? Are you running like an 1125? Are you running 1128, 1130, 1132? And this is going to give you the individual tooth count for each one of those cogs on the back. And once you have that data, you can start figuring out, you know, what gear am I sitting in, and then what does that look like on the RPM, and what kind of speed am I putting out. And that's going to really help you get your gearing right for you, because bike fit is important, but man, gear ratio, gear selection is very, very important. If you don't have the right gears on your bike that work for you, your life's going to suck on that bike. But if you got a gear range that works for you, and it's easier for you to spin the gear, spin the bike, and get more out of your ride so that you're comfortable producing the speed, power, cadence that you want, man, your ride's going to be so much more enjoyable. So if you have not seen this video, the 54 tooth chainring, check it out. This is me just talking about the 54 tooth chainring specifically, and then this video was just a follow-up to that question that individual asked me if I was riding a 16 tooth cog, but I don't have one, and then how I got to this gear range, this cog selection, this cassette selection. And then I also throw links on here, so if you want these specific cassettes, you can jump on AliExpress and get them yourself, man. And like I said, for $36, man, you can't beat it. And the only reason I went this route because it had the gears that I wanted for my riding preference. That's all I got for y'all. It's your boy, Mr. Robb Armstrong, and I am out.